This is the Bill of Rights. And everything here has been violated over and over and over again because we've got to do something. Bill of Rights, just a real quick recap. These are not promises that, hey, by the way, the government, we're going to give you these rights. This is a contract that handcuffs the government. You can never, ever do these things. Let me show you what they're doing. First Amendment, of course, is freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of petition. Now, we've heard what President Trump has been saying regarding the press, but the last two administrations before him went far beyond mere words. Do you remember when U.S. Prosecutor Patrick Fitzgerald under the Bush administration used subpoenas and threats to pressure reporters to give up their sources regarding the Valerie Plame scandal? Flash forward just a few years. You have President Obama. He took that standard by the Bush White House and doubled down. Here's Fox News' Washington correspondent James Rosen describing what he endured at the hands of the Obama administration.
The Attorney General, Eric Holder, under Barack Obama as president, secretly designated me a criminal co-conspirator and a flight risk, and thereby had a federal judge give the government permission to rifle through all my Gmails. They could read the emails, and then also to get all the phone records associated with about 20 phones that I used at that time in my reporting.
And because at that time the press was on the side of the president, they didn't really care about that. They cared about it with Bush, and they care about it now. We need to care about it all the time. The Obama administration, in secret, designated Rosen as a criminal co-conspirator. They used that to spy on the press. Now, you make the call. Is freedom of the press under attack, yes or no? I would contend that it's not only under attack, it's in danger of being overrun in an all-out rout. Freedom of speech. You have a right to have speech. Have you seen what's happening at college campuses lately? If you're a conservative voice, if you aren't turned away altogether, your mere presence turns the grounds into an all-out war zone. As for assembly, I'd argue that the Obama administration's use of the IRS to target the Tea Party was a direct assault on the First Amendment's protection of opposition voices and the freedom to assemble and petition. And religion? Nuns actually had to go to the Supreme Court to plead with the government not to force them to hand out private contraception. Nuns. Private businesses were forced to compromise their faith over the serious issues that they felt were essential to their salvation. The First Amendment is slowly getting whittled down line by line, and there's not going to be anything left. Who's to blame here? Is it the press? Is it the crazy religion? Is it the people who have hate speech? Is it the people who are going to... Who's being hurt by this? Now, let's move to the second. Right to bear arms. Never been in more danger. It's impossible to miss the almost daily calls for gun confiscation or even amendments to outright abolish the Second Amendment. But many people haven't heard about the full scope of what has already happened under the Bush administration in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Watch.
They say there are no orders to use force, just strong persuasion, sometimes entering open houses with guns drawn, and instructions to disarm anyone inside.
You say guns will be taken? No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
Take all arms. We will take all weapons. I'm sorry, but you can't do that. Not only did the government trample all over the Second Amendment, but listen to this, the same news report. Listen to this.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city. This guard unit occupied a church, using it as a base camp. They had to leave a note because they could not get hold of the pastor to get permission.
It is surreal. You never expect to do this in your own country.
Never expect to do it. It's uncomfortable for them? I wonder why. Maybe because this is a violation of the Second Amendment and now the Third Amendment. Quartering of soldiers outside of war. It is absolutely illegal. The Third Amendment has been delegated to joke status. It's called the forgotten right, but it was completely trampled on during a modern era in this media report. They never even mentioned the Bill of Rights. The U.S. government committed 2 federal crimes, but apparently that's not newsworthy. They had to. We have to do something. And so what do? For your protection, we violate this. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures. It requires warrants and probable cause. That's really clear. It says no violation in the amendment. Jeff Sessions just justified civil asset forfeiture. Here's our current Attorney General in his own words. Watch.
I love that program. Man, we had so much fun doing that, taking drug dealers' money and passing it out to people, trying to put drug dealers in jail. What's wrong with that?
The Fourth Amendment is wrong with that. That program is unconstitutional. You cannot seize property from people who are suspected of committing a crime, even without an indictment. I don't care how fun you think it is. It is a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment. What if someone accused you and your family of a crime you didn't commit? It was all based off circumstantial evidence. Just on mere speculation, you could have your bank account drained, your car seized, the family home taken away from you, and many of the people who have had this wrongly done to them have a considerably hard time getting their property back. Why? Well, because as the Inspector General has just said, law enforcement agencies were using that money they seized to bolster their budgets. And on top of that, in some cases, indictments were never even filed. This is why we wrote all of these things.